back. As you can see, my studio got an upgrade. I bought some new toys instead of my hair, so it's been a good week. Tonight we're gonna paint a zombie, and I don't know what I'm doing. We're literally just gonna fuck around and find out, because I haven't painted that many zombies, but I knew for the month of October I wanted to paint one, and there is a specific song that ever since I heard it for the very first time, I said I have to paint a zombie to that song. So that is what we're doing tonight, and because it is nighttime and I have to go to bed soon, not soon, after this I will be going to sleep. Tonight's paint is not powered by coffee. Instead, it's powered by this Poppi. I'm just kidding. I don't have the nails for that. This shit is fire. Like, I love Poppi in general. I tried it for the first time because they had a sale going on at Costco, so I said, oh, I've heard so much about this, let's buy a box. And the box was pretty good. But recently at my local grocery store, not in bulk, not at Costco, I have seen this Wildberry Post Malone soda, and then they have an orange cream. If they could make a bulk pack of just those flavors, I would buy it, so that would be nice. But yeah, this paint is powered by Poppi. It's just so good. Like, it's really good. Time to get to work, bitches. Alright, first things first, we're gonna glue down our brows with an Elmer's washable glue stick. Once you have enough glue in there, comb it out with a spoolie brush. I do this about 2 to 3 times total just to make sure all the hairs are down. You can clean up the edges with a Q-tip dipped in water. Then I'm gonna prime my face with the Makeup Forever Redness Corrector Primer just to give the paint something to lay on top of. I finally bought color set powder. I learned my lesson. I'm not using my pressed powder anymore to set. Not for these looks. Oh, it's very powdery. You heard the woman. Use a loose setting powder to set down your eyebrows once the glue has dried down. Then I'm going to dust off all the excess, and we're going to get to the painting. So for the zombie skin, I'm using a mixture of Mayron water activated paints. I'm just using the palettes I have and going in and combining different shades of green to give my skin the color and texture that I want. So for the base layer, I'm starting off with a dark green, and for all of these colors, I take a brush and I stipple it onto the skin just to give more texture, because I don't really want brush strokes, but you know, think about if a zombie were real. They'd be dirty, they'd be nasty, their skin would be not good. So ideally, the more texture, the better. Next, I'm going on top of that green with a little bit of a lighter green, more of like a shamrock, a tame lime, if you will. And I'm filling in all the same areas that I did with the dark green just to make it a little bit more opaque, add more texture, add more dimension. Now I will say I haven't painted that many zombies before, so this whole time I'm like flying by the seat of my pants, like what should I do next? Every decision I made was on a whim for the most part. Next for the greens, I'm going in with the lightest green I have in the palette, and I'm adding highlights where they would be, so my collarbones, cheekbones, forehead, parts of the face that should stick out. Drink break, obviously. And then we're gonna outline the mouth, because I decided I wanted to do a ripped open mouth, which I don't really know that I've done very much of. But there's a creator I follow on Instagram. She is super talented, and her thing is teeth and zombies, and she is really good at what she does. So my inspiration for the teeth came from her. I will link her Instagram down in the description box below, so that way you can go check her out too if you want a better idea on how to paint teeth. Speaking of teeth, once you are satisfied with your outline, you can take like a baby wipe or a makeup remover wipe out the paint from the inside of that rip, because that's going to help you in the long run. Because once you lay down the white, you don't really want a lot underneath of it. White is already hard enough to get opaque because you usually have to do multiple coats. So wipe out all the makeup underneath of it, and then just start making teeth shapes and squares. Now I could have stopped where I was in the beginning when I had spaces between the teeth, but I didn't like the way that looked, so I went back in and I kind of filled in and made it just a whole big line of white. But you can make your teeth shape however you want it to be. So you could do rectangles, squares, kind of like actual teeth shapes. Once you have your teeth shapes laid, we're gonna start shading. So I'm dipping into my BH Cosmetics palette, and I'm starting with yellow, because if you're a zombie, you're not brushing your teeth, are you, right? So we're gonna start shading the teeth yellow. You can bring that yellow pretty far down because then we're gonna go in with brown and keep the brown closer to the bottom and maybe take that only halfway. You can maybe take the yellow like 3/4 of the way and then take the brown, start it from the bottom or the top of the tooth and take it like halfway down. The whole goal of shading with these eyeshadows is to bring the teeth more to life. Then I'm dipping into a black eyeshadow on an angled brush and I'm gonna deepen the outline of the rip because we want that to be pretty clean. Well, I say clean cut, but clean cut for the shape that it is. We want it to be obvious where it starts and where it ends. As you can see, I forgot to show you something. I did paint the whole inside of my mouth with a light pink aqua paint. So fill in the inside of your mouth around the teeth with some kind of pink water activated paint. And then I'm taking a black water activated paint from Mayron and I'm outlining shapes of the teeth, how I see fit. I'm literally just going random, no rhyme or reason, just random shapes. Looking pretty good. Then I'm going to dip into the Blood Money palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics and I'm going to start doing some shading. So for the shading, I am hollowing out my eye sockets. I'm going to do cheekbones, the forehead, collarbones, whole 9 yards. When you think about a zombie, you think they're dead, they're always hungry, and they're literally withering away into nothing. So take into account your bone structure and where things would be hollow if you were a zombie. So I'm also doing some shading in the neck, in that little divot right above your sternum. And then I'm going above and below the collarbones. And keep shading until your heart feels content. Keep shading until you feel like you have the look right. As you'll see later, I go back in and I deepen this up a couple different times with different colors. While you're watching me shade, I figure I should tell you my other inspiration for this body paint came from the song Zombified by Falling in Reverse. If you've seen my shorts I put out for this body paint, you know that's where this came from. And it was October, so I thought, well, why not just do a zombie body paint? I don't do very many. For shading the cheekbones, you can see I kind of go the extra mile. I'm not just doing your classic contour shading. I'm bringing that all the way down to the side of the mouth on the side where I still have skin, quote unquote. Don't forget to shade the tip of your nose because if you're a zombie, the tip of your nose is just cartilage, so that's going to be gone too. For the chest, I decided to do a semi ribcage type look. I figure if I'm going for the zombie, like I'm starving, my cheekbones are sticking out, I figured that my ribcage would probably be sticking out of my chest as well if I was a real zombie. So nothing fancy, I'm just highlighting where I assume ribs would be, highlighting the sternum with that lime green body paint. And then later I'm gonna go in and shade in between the ribs that I made with the light green body paint. Right now I'm just going back through and highlighting everything. After you shade, sometimes it helps to go back and highlight. Go back and forth because that is what helps bring the look to life. After I highlight, I'm going back in with the dark green body paint that I started with originally, and I'm going over all of the areas that I shaded just to deepen them, give more texture. As you can see, I'm doing the stippling effect that I did when I laid down the base layers. And now I'm going in and I'm shading around the rib cage that I made to make my chest look like it's sticking out more, if that makes sense. I'm so sorry. I forgot to show you something again. So in the mouth, we started with that pink around the teeth, right? So I took a red eyeshadow and the white body paint, and with the red eyeshadow, I just started shading the gums. The white body paint, you can see that I gave some highlights on the gums below the teeth, and then I'm highlighting the teeth. Right now for shading, I'm going in between each tooth with like a brown or a dark red, just to give the gums more shading and dimension. Because if you open your mouth and you smile and you look, your gums have shape to them. So there's going to be a little highlight below each tooth, and there's going to be like a little divot or like a place where there would be a contour, a shadow in between each tooth in the gums. So that is what I did my best to do here. And then I'm going to go over that rip one more time. And after that, I decided that the teeth themselves needed more shape. So if your mouth is rounded, The teeth furthest in the back will have shadows on them cast by the teeth that are sitting next to / in front of them, right? So this is what I'm doing here, is going between each tooth and casting a shadow from the one that's in front onto the one that is behind it. It's a lot, but look at yourself in the mirror, smile, and look at your own mouth, and you'll kind of see what I'm saying about the shape of the gums. And then remember that where there's a shadow, there is a highlight nearby. Once I'm satisfied with the mouth, then I'm going in with black eyeshadow because I again felt like my shading wasn't dark enough. Going in with black eyeshadow, and I'm going to deepen everything that I made. So the cheekbones, the temples, the forehead, the tip of the nose, the rib cage, the jaw. Gotta make that snatched. We're going the whole 9 yards. So go over everything with black eyeshadow until you feel like it is as dark as you want it to be. Why didn't I just start with black eyeshadow, you ask? Because you can always add to a look, but if you add too much of something at once, you can't really take it away. You can, but it's a lot harder to take black shadow away than it is to say, oh, I don't feel like this is dark enough yet, let me add more. Also, shading from, you know, like a dark color to darkest color gives your look a little bit more dimension. So even though everything on top is with the black, you can still see the colors underneath, mainly in the rib cage, but you can still see them underneath poking out. Now, once we're done shading, I'm going through and I'm highlighting, because where the mouth is ripped open, there's going to be a highlight where that is ripped. And then the tip of the nose, where there's a shadow, there's going to be a highlight where the skin actually begins. And then I'm going through doing random highlights on the rib cage, around the eyes, and then we're going to add some wrinkles. Because your zombie doesn't have good skin, right? They're not doing skincare, so there's gonna be wrinkles. So I just furrowed my brow and kind of like traced my own wrinkles on an angled brush with black eyeshadow. And remember, where there's a shadow, there's a highlight nearby. So where the skin would stick out around the wrinkle, I'm highlighting it to give it a little bit more of a realistic effect to add more dimension to the paint. If you feel like any of these highlights are too bright white, while the paint is still wet, you can tap it out with your finger and that will fade it a little bit, but still leave the highlight in place. Once our highlights are laid, we're adding drool to the mouth. So take a bunch of white paint on your brush and just lightly drag it around to make a light, skinny line, skinny jagged line. And the last thing I'm doing is taking some brown paint on a stippling sponge and adding some more texture to the skin. Alright, I think I'm at a point where I'm done, so I'm gonna go grab a little jacket since I didn't want to paint my arms. We'll go grab a little jacket and I'll be right back with the finished look. Almost done. Alright, this is the finished look. I'm actually proud of how that turned out. Not too bad for me not really painting that many zombies. So this is it. This is the look. Thank you so much for coming to today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun bringing this to life. In total, I think this paint took me like 2.5 hours, so really not that bad timing wise. If you like this, make sure you come back because there's going to be more videos like this. And until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!